I don't like 2D Sonic, and I think some of the Blue Hedgehog's 3D escapades have far surpassed anything he did previously. Yes, I'm aware this is not a particularly popular opinion, but I'm not here to complain about how the original Sonic the Hedgehog is a poorly crafted platformer that moves too fast and is too far zoomed in on the player character for the kind of responsiveness necessary to navigate the game's convoluted levels. No! I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about how much I love Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. A sequel in name only to Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2 was developed by Sonic Team USA and published by Sega. It was originally released on the Dreamcast, but was later ported to the GameCube with multiplayer functionality and some surface improvements. Oddly enough, despite being the superior version of the game, it received worse reviews because critics are stinky bumholes. Anyway, the plot revolves around what basically boils down to a war between Sonic and Eggman as they try to undo one another. Eggman has revived the ultimate lifeform Shadow, who in return promises to help collect Chaos Emeralds and frame Sonic for the crimes. The other new character entering the picture is Rouge the Bat, a spoiler alert double agent for the US government. Really, the hero missions are not where the meat of the story lies. Instead, all of the depth comes from the dark missions, as you grow to understand Eggman's zealous passions, Shadow's obsession with vengeance, and Rouge's changing loyalties. People like to mock the story, but I personally really enjoy it. The hero story is so generic in its save the day motif that shifting to dark mode really subverts your expectations before totally pulling out all the stops in the incredible last story. Yeah, maybe Shadow's brooding is a bit exaggerated, but he's a great representation of the Byronic hero archetype. And Rouge? Okay, Rouge is pretty lame, never mind. Seriously, if you think the plot is lame, then I urge you to go watch Gerald Robotnik's cutscene again and tell me it doesn't send shivers down your spine. Of course, at the end of the day, it mostly comes down to gameplay, which, in this case, couldn't be better. The first Sonic Adventure did a great job of hauling the Sonic cast into a 3D environment, but this game really refined everything. Rather than half a dozen conflicting playstyles, Adventure 2 focused more on just 3, so don't worry, no pointless froggy fishing to be found here. Sonic and Shadow's action missions tend to be brief and linear, with multiple paths and hidden bonuses. Tails and Eggman have linear shooting missions from within mechs. They're certainly the low points of the game, but racking up huge point combos is nevertheless gratifying. And then there are the Knuckles and Rouge treasure hunt missions, which feature large, themed environments with lots of nooks and crannies in which to find emeralds. I think my favorite thing about this game is just the way jumping feels. It feels so gratifying to execute a jump and a homing tack, or to go from a jump into a glide, or a bounce even. The jump is high enough and floaty enough so that movement becomes less about precision and more about thinking ahead, like each level is a game of speed chess between the player and the environment. Not a lot of 3D platformers use this approach to level design, which is why it stands out so much to me here. But, of course, I can't talk about Sonic Adventure 2 without bringing up the Chows! Between levels, Chao Island is a place to relax, kick back for a few minutes, and raise little blue demigods into your personal fighting and racing machines. Raising and breeding Chows has so much depth, I still haven't seen all the evolution permutations in the dozen years I've played this game. I have abused them more often than I care to admit, but when you're trying to get Hero and Dark Chows, anything's game. I have one final anecdote to express just how much I love this game, which I must preface with this statement. I was a good kid growing up. I obeyed my parents' rules and didn't question them. I didn't get grounded often, but when I did, I stayed honest, stayed in my room. But this fucking game right here, with its lusty curves and its siren song, tempted me to play it while I was grounded once. So, as it stands, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is number 20 on my top 30 countdown, but I should admit that the numbers at this point are mostly arbitrary and I'm just sort of putting up my favorite games in non-specific order. Once I get to the top 10, they'll probably have a more reasonable order, but for now, it's gonna be just games that I like. So, not too much pressure on the facts.